You're watching Morning at NTV.
Yes, you're still watching Morning at NTV. We now return to the Kampala Serena rooftop with Simon and the big story.
Archbishop Desmond Tutu has said that this law is reminiscent of the Nazi and apartheid regimes to legislate against love. The Amnesty International has called this law a horrific expansion of state-sanctioned homophobia. What are we talking about this morning on the big story? It's the anti-homosexuality law as signed yesterday. How much is it going to have with regard to effect on Uganda on the whole, but also the traditional heterosexual family and the morals of this country? To discuss this very emotive issue on what I call the SMS of TV. We are short, punchy with only 160 characters, but we put across the message. Pastor Solomon Male and Pastor Martin Ssempa, the usual suspects as I would call them, or in this debate of homosexuality. I'll start with you, Male.
Yeah.
You're against this bill. Why have you been bought? Have you been given something? Are you now representing Ban Ki-moon or President Barack Obama, as Pastor Ssempa alleged when he walked onto this dice?
It is a populist bill. It is opportunistic. It is based on myopicism, and it was premised on lies. One, these people claim that there was no law to protect our children, and that is why they rallied every Ugandan for the bill. In 2007, His Excellency Yoweri Museveni signed this act into Parliament. This is the Penal Code. Ssempa, can you keep quiet?
Don't worry, I will handle him. Don't worry.
The Penal Code Amendment Act 2007, His Excellency assented to it, and this is his signature. It mandates death for pedophile offenders, whether heterosexual or homosexual. What these people have come up with is an anti-homosexuality bill, which gets homosexuals out of this act of death. And now the maximum sentence for them is life in jail.
I mean, it's an interesting perspective, and look at this law, that the anti-homosexuality law is in fact a slap on the wrist to homosexual offenders.
So Male wants them killed.
Pastor Male. Now you, Pastor Ssempa, what are you saying? For him, he wants them dead. You have been
not wanting them dead. Why should we kill heterosexual offenders? And yet we cannot kill homosexual offenders. And yet these people say
now you, Ssempa, you were the Daily this morning putting up some kind of bonanza, dancing and demonstrating and showing love to President Museveni.
That is populism.
For giving you such a wonderful bill. Why do you say that this bill is not a slap on the wrist, as Pastor Male claims?
You know, Uganda has joined the group of superpower nations such as Russia, Nigeria, in taking Saudi Arabia, in taking a strong stand against sodomy. I am of this morning calling Margaret Ziwa so that we can take this bill to the Speaker of the East African Parliament, Honorable, to take this bill to the East African community. And then after that, we want to call the African Union, because we want to make sure we want to make sure that
let him meander and hit the point.
Yes,
then I get
so that we want to take this bill of protecting Africa's family from the onslaught.
Can I raise another fire? Because
homosexuality from the Western powers. At the root of it is the question. The European says it's a vice. The Africa says it's a vice. Obama says it's a right. So there is a showdown. So,
well, we have now come to lock horns. We've signed the bill. It's now into law. The question everyone is asking, and Pastor Male has raised it here, isn't this law a slap on the wrist for especially you who have been calling for the admonishing of homosexual offenders?
For stringent measures. And there is another issue.
I don't want to argue. Male is misguided.
No, but let me tell you.
Male is confused, and I don't want to spend time on him. Let me tell you.
Let's not call him
the bigger issue. Whenever you are moving
forward. If the law against pedophilia is that they must die.
They must die.
Why should homosexuals stay alive and you call that a fair law?
No, we have changed.
This is in a meeting.
Let me tell you, I was with Male at UJCC.
What
when
is
we were
that? The
Uganda
viewers-
joined Christian
Ssempa,
Center, when you are
let me-
beginning
let
this
me
law,
let me
Bale
direct
is the
this
one who
debate.
Time is
argued
going.
to remove the death penalty
I never,
from the bill.
I never. Ssempa, you
Now
are the
he's
one.
here
I've never.
denying it.
Now,
At
now,
Uganda
let
joined
me raise
Christian
another
Council,
issue.
Male,
you are the one who said
don't you
remove the
think,
death penalty.
You the Baganda.
No,
Wait a
Male,
minute.
it is you who said
Listen,
remove
listen,
the death
Ssempa.
penalty.
Ssempa,
And you
listen.
just
Hey,
You a
yes.
liar.
Shall I have some
Why
order
have I
here?
then held to
Male and Sempa.
Have they given you
You the
money?
Baganda argue
I've
that
never
You
gone to
are
wait
with
a minute.
homosexuals now.
Nyamantono.
Ukaya
We are not
Mukwawa.
going to make allegations here, Pastor Sempa.
Ah.
In fact, unless you also want me to say that from the way you argue against homosexuality, one wouldn't be wrong psychologically to actually think that you could be a homosexual.
But they are
Are you
people
sure?
who are-
Which
there are
means
people who have
that George
accused him
Bush
of being.
is a terrorist. Which means that those fighting HIV are HIVists.
Perhaps.
Which means that those who are fighting racism are racists.
Perhaps.
You see,
Wrong and
Ssempa
illogical
is only
false
one
assumptions.
person.
Nyamantono tukaya neri mukwawa.
Let me
Why
raise
don't
another
we
issue.
say that so far it is a right step in the right direction and the clamor can be on tightening the nuts and bolts as opposed to rubbishing the entire bill as signed?
Okay, let me make another statement. Section 145 of the Penal Code. Sex against the order of nature. The sentence is life in jail. Whether it is heterosexual, whether it is a man doing it to a woman, or it is a woman doing it with a fellow woman,
Now,
or a man doing it with a
it is
fellow
time to
a
thank
man
the
doing it with a
president.
fellow
No,
man.
no, don't go
Under
in the
this
order.
law, under this law, which people are celebrating about, it defines a homosexual as someone who engages in same-sex sexual activity, and homosexuality as engagement in same-sex sexual activity.
Mane wants them
Actually,
killed.
it
That's what
excludes
is
Ssempa.
disappointing.
Can
we have some
back to the
discipline?
point? Be
Let's
sober.
respect
SMS,
You
SMS.
claim you have a PhD, but then you
no,
do not
Male,
reason.
let's not accuse each other of what we are
Now,
guilty of.
now, here, I'm making a point. The bill, the law that has been assented to by His Excellency the President, defines homosexuality as engagement in
That has
same-sex
already been
activity.
made. That
now,
point has been made.
It means that if a man sodomizes his wife, under this law, it's not an offense.
What is sodomizing a wife? If you're a man and you sodomize a woman, is there something called sodomizing someone?
getting
for-
into
for
the
you,
anus?
eh.
No,
what
no,
we
now
call
that,
anal
listen,
sex.
anal sex not sodomy for that matter.
No,
if I
no,
may
no,
put it
no,
this
no,
way.
no, no, no,
Now,
no, no.
let me ask you.
What is sodomy about?
Let's
It's penetrating the anus.
let's look
And
at this
using
law
gadgets as a
and its
vagina.
implication. You, Pastor Male, have
Please calm
scored a major
Pastor
victory, so to
Ssempa,
speak.
Pastor Ssempa,
Sempa,
not
you
Male.
have scored a major victory. You have been clamoring
But I
for
was
this.
the first to
It's
get
now
homosexuality out so that
first
people
or
know.
second
and I believe-
or third
Can we
doesn't
get
matter.
I,
And I
security?
I raised
Can we get
the issue of
security to
homosexuality.
escort Male?
I
He's
came up with the
really-
victims.
All right, you have
So
you
I
have
don't-
Male,
you
please,
have
calm
Male,
down.
Male, you have a
Male,
Nobel.
Ssempa,
have
it
simply
is
stolen
okay.
the
It
show.
is
Listen,
okay.
now
It's
if
okay.
it's an issue of egos and who started what, then that's not the debate we're
That
having
is
this
the
morning.
problem.
Fine.
Now I am asking you, Pastor
you.
Ssempa, you have scored this major victory.
They
Do
hijacked
you have
it
an
and then-
idea of the ramification of this bill unto the people of Uganda?
It
You've
is-
had countries saying relations that were previously valued are going to be dented so much so that this week, in fact, the US is going to rethink its development cooperation with Uganda. Does that bother you?
Yes and no. First of all, America gives aid to Uganda to treat people with HIV/AIDS, mosquito nets, ARVs. But you know what? On the other side, promoting sodomy, research shows that those who practice homosexuality are 10 times more likely to carry HIV. A research by the Lancet magazine in 2009 showed that men in sub-Saharan Africa who practice same-sexual activity are 10 times more likely. So to encourage homosexuality
we
is
are
going...
talking about stability
Excuse me,
of
no, I
relations.
want you to take this. If somebody is giving you treatment here and he owns the pharmaceutical here and is encouraging a lifestyle of more HIV, you want to question their motives. Are they really wanting to treat you, or is it more HIV is equal more money for the drugs?
The gay lobby is an extremely powerful lobby, and let's not mince our words about it. Doesn't it bother you that you, Pastor Ssempa, are now the postcard of this anti-homosexuality stance in Uganda, together with MPs like Bahati, and therefore you find it difficult to enjoy the freedom of roam and movement in places like New York, London, Berlin, and other places? Did that bother you?
No, it doesn't. I want to let you know, we don't fight battles because the enemy is weak. We fight battles because it's right. That's why we fought against apartheid. But you see, you have idiots like Desmond Tutu who have decided to say an idiot, and I'll say it again. Desmond Tutu is a quack. Every time we Africans see Desmond Tutu preaching to us that he will not go to heaven if there are no homos in heaven, we are distressed.
Let me get down to Pastor
No.
Male here. Doesn't it also against homosexuality.
Against homosexuality.
A bill is put before Parliament. It is assented into law, and now you are the same Malay that is saying that this bill is actually a smokescreen. It's a slap on the wrist.
You see, if we had the opportunity to kill pedophile offenders under the Penal Code Section 129, and now this law comes up and says no, we can kill others, heterosexuals, but we cannot kill homosexuals. Then to me it bothers me. Secondly, the law, Section 145 of the Penal Code, was also covering women against homosexuality. And now they define homosexuality to exclude sodomy between a man and a woman, which means that a woman like Mbabazi, who was sodomized by Pakistanis, cannot get redress.
So going forward, what is your clamor?
Now, my argument has always been that they are victims, and these victims cannot get justice. Why can't they get justice? Because the
there is already some justice going to be done here with this law.
But it is the same stinking rotten police.
The same stinking rotten police is from the same society where you come from.
Now,
one would also say
my
same
argument,
stinking rotten pastors.
Yes,
would
yes,
you like that
of
kind
course.
Of
I've come out against pastors sodomizing boys. I even referred some to you. Martin and I are convicts, just because the system chose to frame us. That when we decided to deal with Pastor Kayanja's sodomy victims.
But both of you here, like I said, this is the SMS of TV. You either have it right or you don't have it at all in the first punch. You own a church. You have a community of believers before
at Makerere University.
At Makerere University.
Yes.
What are you going to tell them when you stand at the pulpit at the next gathering as regard to homosexuality? Will you say, kudos, the battle is won, we have a law, any form of indecent
I'll
assault
laugh
on you,
at them
homosexuality
if you say it is won.
you come down to the judicial system or go to the police?
Oh no, I want us to be clear on
You
this.
trust the police?
Let's not get into
and
whether
the
we trust
judiciary.
or we don't trust the police. No one trusts pastors.
I want to
either.
let every homosexual out there know that we are setting up rehabilitation center. Those whose rectums have been ruptured.
Can we use more sober language? People are having breakfast
I'm
this
sorry,
morning.
those whose behinds has been ruptured.
Let's
But
say those who
before
have
you
been
set them
injured.
up,
That's
you need
still
to have
good.
a heart
So
for the victims.
we want to
I've
put
been
up
handling victims and I know their
rehabilitation
pains.
centers.
When you both speak at the same time, you lose the point to the people that are watching us. We need to put our point across
I think
in a
this
more
is
sober
the
way.
problem. We want to set up rehabilitation centers. You see, the church on our side, we preach grace, come and change. But the law enforcement, that's Kaihura, that is the government, the executive, they must be in the business of stifling this money. We have $48 million powering into Uganda this year to push homosexual agenda.
How you calculate that money and come up with that money
movies at
is what I don't
Sundance.
understand.
Sundance just gave $1 million to do a Chiwani on Uganda. We have court cases at the ICC. I have 2 cases. I don't want you to mince this issue. But we also want to make policy changes in groups such as the Nation Media Group so that they stop fathering homosexuals under the guise of minorities, so that the Vision Media Group stops silencing the discussion. We need to open the debate. And for me, I've been calling since Andrew Mwenda began speaking against me. I kept saying, please bring me your own. I'm ready, Zabike. You see, I don't want to fight Malay. Bring Obama. Bring the American ambassador. Bring the United. No, leave Kai. Those are small things. Bring the American ambassador. Bring Ban Ki-moon. Those are the ones that we care.
This is an English. This is an English.
Let's go for this.
Can we stop this exaggerated sense of self-worth amongst ourselves?
No, and we have T-shirts. I have T-shirts here.
I'm not going to allow exhibitionism here.
No.
Let me make my point across. Malay,
I have a T-shirt.
There's a point
I need you to understand one thing. That this passing of this bill has got a very, 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 very strong impact with regard to the way you conduct your business as a church. You have churches that believe in your school of thought that even are in the United States of America. What is the reaction from some of these friendly churches of yours? Are they calling this a slap on the wrist as well? Or they are saying, go fight more, you can clamor for more as long as you already have something in your armpit?
So Americans are sponsoring us.
Wait. They are sponsoring you, not me. I've never got any money from the West.
Okay.
I don't even have anyone. I ride on boda. I walk on foot. I use taxis.
So those of us who drive cars have gotten money from the West?
No. There are pastors who are ever in America. But I'm a local pastor here. I'm always here. Although I have, of course,
now we are not going to
start
global. We are not going to start glorifying peasantry and local.
Now let me make my point. Okay. Now this anti-homosexuality law, okay, reduces the sentence for pornography,
So-
which under the Pornography Act, which was passed a
But
day
what's
earlier,
harsher
the
punishment?
sentence
Male,
is 10 years
are you going to
maximum
contest
and
this
15
law in
years.
the court? Are you going to law?
Because he
Are you going
wants-
to court?
No,
Why
no, I
harsher?
cannot.
Eh.
What are you going to do?
I know, of course, the homosexuals are already prepared for it because one, it
You are
breaches the
joining.
Constitution. Article 21.
So what are you going to do?
and,
Are you
will
going
have
to
to
just
pay.
of course,
Talking
Article
about it.
29 and Article 41. It even muzzles the media.
Okay.
You'll not be able to run stories before you get authoritative court. Remember, if authoritative court has to be sought, how many journalists would succeed getting through stories about powerful
And
people?
to that extent, are you saying that
It
you,
muzzles
Male,
the media.
are going to keep quiet and all you do is trot between one media house and another to say the same thing over and over
To
again
join
like you've done
homosexuals
in
You
the last
see,
10
the
you
years?
law.
see,
I am
pro-
asking the question.
The
Ssempa.
problem is this, that when you oppose this law,
With the
the
homosexuals.
Sempas, their mentality says that the homosexuals have paid you. Yet, I would raise the same issue. If homosexuals have not paid Ssempa and others, why did they have to reduce the sentences that are already in the penal code?
There is a debate with
Even-
regard to human rights.
No, no, no.
No, listen,
Wait, wait.
Male. There is
There
an
is a-
issue called
This
human
is
rights
on-
here.
on
And
pornography.
the death penalty,
Wait, get to that
Kasiate,
over.
Wait a
Kasiate.
minute.
Let me just show you this.
Wait a minute. The death penalty is one of those being discussed
I
as regard whether
oppose
it
the
is
death
No, 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 no.
within human rights.
Let me
Yes.
raise
Are
this.
you saying that the death penalty should be put
This
back
is the one for
on the law
death
books of
penalty.
Uganda?
Me, I'm
Now,
against it.
Sempa, can
Hey,
you keep quiet?
it's clear.
Yeah,
Yes.
the viewers know that
I
you
am
don't have to
against
say
the death
it. You don't have to say
penalty.
it much
Malay
more.
is insisting the law is bad
No,
because
we
there's
need
no
to have a
death
balanced
And
penalty.
I'm
law if we
asking
are dealing
why.
with pedophiles.
Supposing you
We need
now,
to have
why
a
don't
balanced
you,
law when we deal
Male,
with- and
Male,
there is another
fair
issue.
enough. Why don't you then, therefore, go to court or seek legal redress to have the penalty on
Of death.
pedophiles removed from the death roll? And say now pedophiles may also serve life as opposed to death.
Let
because the
Ssempa do
issue
it.
of death, because the issue of
Confusion,
death is
confusion.
certainly an issue of human rights. And you're a pastor. You should be preaching love. You should be preaching tolerance. You should be preaching the preservation of life as opposed to the termination of life, no matter the sin.
But you see, the man who betrayed Jesus paid with his life.
And Jesus killed him.
No, no, it's not Jesus. Of course, he.
There
had
was,
himself.
yeah, there was
Let-
someone who was
let
going
me
to be
make a
lynched
point.
with stones, and Jesus showed up and said,
Simon,
"He
let
who's
me
never
make-
done it,
let-
cast
let-
the
let
first
me make
stone."
a point.
Why do you preach one gospel selectively?
Let me make a point,
Simon, I
okay?
have a case at
When it comes to
ICC that I must
pornography,
tell you
wait,
about.
wait, wait.
I'll
Stop
get
This
to
is
that.
a
I-
border
I have-
pastor.
He's
Eh?
a
Let
coward.
me bring to you.
No, 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 I'll get
we
to
are
you,
not in
Ssempa.
US. We are not. We are here. Ssempa, stop calling me border.
That's
I
what
call myself
Ssempa
border.
does.
Yes. So talk about
Male,
he's
summarize
just a
it
coward.
now. This whole
okay
thing
now.
of exchanging
Okay now.
love.
Here
You have
we are.
enough platform in your churches. You go and abuse yourselves from there, not here.
Here we are. On the 19th of December, they pass a sentence against pornography. And if it is for adults, maximum is 10 years custodial. If it is for children, maximum is 15 years custodial. When it comes to the anti-homosexuality law, this custodial sentence for pornography is a mere between 5 and 7 years.
Point
reduced
made.
from
Thank
10
you,
Slap,
thank you,
and
thank you.
slap
15.
on the wrist.
It's a
In other
slap
words, Pastor
on-
Malay is
wants
saying
harsher.
that is a slap on the wrist. He wants it more
harsher.
tighter. He wants you to die. Should you be convicted
This
of
one wants them
homosexuality?
to kill
Now
them.
let me look at
But
you.
you said the rhetoric is we didn't have
Malay,
a law.
Malay.
That the laws we have,
Cool your
we
jets.
are weak.
I will
When
invite,
they
I will
say,
invite
"Pull
you
your
again
jets."
to make your turn. Now, Ssempa,
Yes.
the stuff that you are putting across Sekesa, the ICC, bring Obama, bring me down, Ban Ki-moon, this is stuff of self-aggrandization that even for the most part
think?
to the viewers may border on comedy.
It is
How
actually populism.
seriously can we
He
take
wants
you
to be
with regard to
popular.
all these
That
cases?
is hated
I am
by the
asking the
ICC.
questions. To what extent can we take you seriously,
I want-
Pastor Ssempa,
I want you
with
to-
regard to these cases,
You-
the guys you want
You
to
know,
fight?
when Hitler came for the Jews, some people didn't believe. I want to tell you, are you aware of hate crimes legislation in European Union that has classified that the Bible cannot be read in Canada, in United States, and even Europe? Or you are not aware?
Pastor Ssempa, I have done 5 years at the European Union. I know it perhaps more
Very
than you
good.
can
So
imagine.
perhaps we must
And at very senior local level.
let us put off the cloak of garments.
I am asking you, how seriously can we take you?
No.
Forget about the
I have a
rhetoric,
case.
sounding nice,
No,
having the
like
having
Mandela.
the-
This is what they
having
say
the
to
gift of
Mandela.
the tongue.
This is what they said to Mandela.
When
Mandela,
do you
be
walk
quiet.
the talk?
No, I want to tell you, I have a case in Massachusetts against me, framed. I have a case at the ICC,
Yeah.
but there is a cover-up because media houses, including this very nation media group, has a policy to promote sexual minorities or homosexuals. So cases like us will be ridiculed by you. instead of weeping with us, instead of standing up for people like us, there is a shortness of covering us. And I'm asking Simon,
you of all people are laughing at you, Ssempa. People on TV are laughing at you.
When they're lynching me,
Ssempa, would never have been anything more than what you are if it wasn't for we, the media, for having made you in the last 10 years. How can you, of all people, Ssempa, claim that the media has not done anything for you?
Isn't it true that the Nation Media Group has a policy to promote homosexuals? Isn't it true that the Nation Media Group has a quota of workers?
I have told you, and I put it to you. You are a simple,
I want to put it to you that you are part of the cartel, and the anti-pornography and anti-homosexuality bill will begin to bite as NTV changes.
Daily Morning, as we have an interesting duo of Pastor
we have a
Martin
t-shirt.
Ssempa and Solomon Male. Solomon Male's argument is this is a slap on the wrist.
I'm a
Pastor
realist.
Ssempa, on the other hand, is the usual himself.
He's a
maverick,
populist.
suave, of course, populist, and to some extent,
Resistance.
a guy that gives us wonderful ratings.
Resistance.
We'll be right back with my Simon Says.
Resistance.
Well, there we go. Simon Says this wonderful big morning, the 25th day of February 2014. I told you it's going to be big. Now, after listening to these two wonderful pastors, one makes the simple conclusion that Christianity, for the most part, preaches tolerance, preaches the understanding that people could be different. But on the other hand, culture and the moral aptitudeness that we put onto ourselves may dictate otherwise. Bottom line is, we have a law in place. This law for some could be seen as a slap on the wrist. For the others, it could be the long-awaited magic bullet that is going to catapult Uganda outside of the doldrums of immorality that we've been dealing with. Now that we have this law put aside and now operational, can we get down to do some little more work? Can we begin to be honest? Can we stop this corruption? Can we stop this pluralism? Can we stop the brigandage? Can we be the uprightly moral people that we have claimed to always be if it wasn't for the issue of homosexuality? Now we have homosexuality going to be dealt with severely by a law. Let's see whether or else Uganda is going to become a communion of saints now that we have homosexuals locked away. That Simon Says this morning, the 25th day of February 2014. Have a wonderful morning. Morning at NTV continues.
This is your t-shirt. Next time,